Welcome to Learning as I Grow 365, a storytelling adventure. Today we have the privilege of hearing a junior storyteller share her understanding of the Taino history in Jamaica. She is 9 years old, an avid storyteller, and a lover of anything in the arts. Her creative talents are boundless, so enjoy her storytelling.
Today, we are going to be talking about the Tainos. Did you know that the Tainos were the very first inhabitants of Jamaica? If you did, well, congrats to you. When the Tainos came here, they used Trinidad as their gateway to come to Jamaica. Since they were voyagers, they traveled from country to country. They came from Venezuela in the Enrico region. Did you know that, Mommy?
I did not know that.
Okay. I learned it in class. When they came and settled here, they settled on the coast of Jamaica in places like St. Anne's Bay, Trelawney, and so on. Do you know why they settled along the coast, Mommy?
So they could get fish for food?
Yes, because fish was a major part of their diet. Did you know that we got some of our words that we use today from Tainos? Like stuff like tobacco and hurricane. The Tainos call it hurricane, but we call it hurricane. And we got barbecue from them too. We also got jerking too, and escovitch fish. Also, did you know that when the Tainos came, there was a neighboring island that had a bunch of people called the Caribs who would come and kill off the male Tainos in the night so they can't protect the family, then steal the children and the wife so that they can eat the children and the wife. And they don't eat the children and the wife at their own island. They come back to the Tainos islands to eat and have a feast on the children. Do you know what that's called? Cannibalism.
What's another name for the Caribs?
I don't know. Tell me.
Kalinagos?
Yeah, it was the Kalinagos. Another name for the Caribs is the Kalinagos. Like another name for the Tainos were the Arawaks. But in Jamaica, we mostly call them the Tainos. The Tainos planted crops like maize, which they called corn, cassava, sweet potato, and let me tell you something about cassava. They made bami out of it.
And beer.
And that's how we got bami, really. And they also made beer out of it. Now, if you're from Jamaica, you might know that Tainos were big on smoking. They loved to smoke tobacco. They did it in their free time. They did it a lot. Don't laugh at me. It's the truth.
What made you think they did it a lot? According to the history books, they liked to smoke.
Yeah.
So you have to say according to the history books.
According to the history books, they like to smoke. Wait, what history books? I never read any of those things.
That's where they get the information from that they're teaching in social studies.
Oh. Okay. All right. Okay, next. Apart from liking to smoke, the favorite game of the Tainos was a game called ball. Did you know that, Mommy?
Nope.
Okay. I guess you didn't go to school. Well, it's good I'm here, right?
That's why you're doing this podcast.
Yep. Anyways, the Tainos, the Tainos were captured by the Spaniards after Christopher Columbus came looking to preach about Christ and stuff, and then came in seeking for gold instead. Dun dun dun. He captured the Tainos. The Tainos gave him gifts, thinking that he was a kind person. But no, he enslaved all the Tainos. And since they weren't warlike people, they couldn't fight back. Some of the Tainos died off from the diseases they had no strength against. And some of the Tainos died from suicide, which is when you kill yourself on purpose. And some of the Tainos died from the cruelty of the Spaniards. After they killed off all
We came
the
through
Tainos,
the hills.
producing sugarcane to get money, because there was no gold in Jamaica, they went and got some Africans. How do you think it feels to be ripped out of your own village, actually sold by your prime minister? Let's just pretend they had prime ministers back then. Actually sold by your own prime minister. That wouldn't feel good, would it? I don't think so. And what if you were just having a nice day in your town, about to go to the pool later, and someone just snatched you up to go work on a plantation? How would you feel, Mommy?
Angry?
I would be too. I would be really angry and sad at the same time. So, there were 3 different types of slaves. There were field slaves, there were house slaves, and there were skilled slaves. Let me explain. I guess by now you know the skilled slave, the field slaves were the one who worked in the field and harvested the sugarcane. The house slaves were the ones who cared for their master and his wife and children. Did you know that when they got the slaves, the masters were so helpless that they made the slaves have to help? Someone had to help them put on their clothes. And if he was reading the newspaper and dropped it, he wouldn't even get up. He'd call for his slave, and he'd come pick up the newspaper closer to him than his slave was.
That's just lazy.
It is very lazy. And finally, there are the skilled slaves, which I think you might not have guessed yet. The skilled slaves are the slaves who worked in the factory, turning the sugar cane into sugar.
So like they would fix machinery and operate those kind of processing mills, etc. Is what you're saying?
Yup, that's exactly right, Mommy.
A big thank you to our junior storyteller. Is there anything that you heard in her story that you didn't know about Jamaica? Please share with us your stories about the first people, where you're from, how they got to be there, and how many of their traditions continue to be a part of your culture today.